On the 25th of January, 2025, an ordinary city of Vallejo, California, turned into the scene of a heinous crime that made the whole community vibrate with shock. When Renia Lewis, the 28-year-old, disappeared without a trace on a Friday evening, the family of the missing girl did not surrender. What started as a frantic panhandling turned out to be a revelation that would continue to haunt inquisitors even today. A hidden attic, a hidden door, and an act of cruelty that is beyond imagination. It is about Renia Lewis and the monster that claimed her life. Renia Lewis was a young lady who has her entire life ahead of her. She was only 28 years old, and she had family members and friends who were very concerned about her well-being. According to those who knew her, she was loved, valued, and cherished by those within the inner circle. At the time she was last seen, a Friday evening in January 2025, nobody could have guessed how horrific the discovery was to be.
I am devastated. That's my youngest daughter. Her birthday is on Monday. She would have been 29.
When Renia made no contact with her family members on Sunday, her family could realize that something was dreadfully wrong. This wasn't like her. The quietness was thunderous, the lack threatening. They promptly called the Vallejo Police Department, 30 miles northeast of San Francisco, and cited her as lost. The fact that the family of Renia was extremely persistent is what is even more striking about this case. They did not just wait until authorities take action, but they got into action themselves. The family members, with the help of technology at their disposal, made endless attempts to get Renia to answer her cell phone, in an attempt to find some signal that could guide them to their lost family member. Digital breadcrumbs led them hour after hour, as they hoped every ping came them nearer to finding Renia alive. This would be important in their attempts to assist police in reducing the number of possible locations. It was not police work. This was a family that did not want to see their loved one become another statistic. The nature of this devotion in this family was best captured by neighbor Brooke Hayes, who later paid her respects at a memorial in her honor.
Her disappearance triggered an ebony alert issued by CHP, and now her loved ones are grappling with the devastating news. Betty, you has the story.
It is very sad to find out that they did have family and friends that came really, to the point of having to do the footwork on their own to see where Renia went. These lines are addressed to something really big about Renia Lewis. She was the type of a person that evoked such commitment. The search introduced patrol officers to a house in Vallejo where it was possible to find some traces that Renia might have resided in prior to her disappearance. In their first visit on Sunday, the officers did what they termed cursory search in the property. They searched rooms, opened closets, and examined the conspicuous spots in which a person could be. They found nothing, not even a shadow of Renia Lewis in sight. But her family did not want to lose. The case was further propelled when, on Monday, the California Highway Patrol issued an Ebony Alert, which is a statewide notification system that was introduced in California in 2024 specifically to aid in the identification of missing Black people who have disappeared under unexplained or suspicious conditions.
What did she do to you for you to kill her and then put her in a wall? When he said, "We found your daughter," I just collapsed. I was like, I can't believe this. And I was praying. I said, God, please don't let it be her. Please don't let it be her. And he did not answer my prayer.
This early warning system contributed to raising massive concern over the disappearance of Renia and even rallied the community in the search. With fresh investigative evidence and a search warrant, detectives were back on Tuesday at the same residence searched in the same room a mere 2 days beforehand. On this occasion, they were to have a comprehensive, systematic search of the premises to the last inch. What they found would be appalling to the hardest of investigators. There was an attic room behind a hidden door, which would only be reached by a person who was aware of its existence. The opening had been carefully concealed and disguised so as to be hardly discriminated in a superficial survey. And in that secret room, detectives found the ghastly find, the severed parts of what they thought was Renia Lewis. The picture was appalling to say the least. This was not murder, but desecration, a kind of violence such as it is impossible to believe, the violence which is depravity itself and makes the blood run dry. The dismemberment implied that whoever did it had spent time after the murder to conceal the evidence so that it would be harder to identify her, as to guarantee that Renia would never go anywhere beyond that. The place on which the body was found showed the fact that this crime was calculated. This was not a passion affair or a misplaced accident. The body of Renia had been concealed intentionally in the place where it was never meant to be found.
News no one in 28-year-old Renia Lewis's family wanted to hear. Police found her body behind a wall inside this home on 14th Street in Vallejo.
The outhouse at 14th and Star Avenue had retained its dark secret during the search by the police officials first. Terry Lewis, the mother of Renia, was on the ground when the body of her daughter was found. It is inconceivable the torment of the moment. Addressing KTVU the next day, crying her eyes out, she said the purest agony of a mother, the worst nightmare possible. This is unreal, so unreal. It is this monster that will never make me see my daughter again. She was a grown woman. It was her decision to make what she did. I still love her. Those last words carry the weight of a mother's unconditional love, even in the face of tragedy. Terry Lewis understood that her daughter was an adult who made her own decisions, but that understanding doesn't diminish a mother's love.
Now have Renia's phone, which her family says last pinged at this address. Her mother used the Life 360 app to track her final location, and her cousin LaToya helped lead the family's search in the area.
Vallejo Police Chief Jason Ta addressed the community in a statement. This was a heartbreaking, senseless act of violence that has no place in our community. Our thoughts are with the decedent's family during this incredibly difficult time. Lieutenant Jody Hollis emphasized the gravity. This was a horrific crime. Not only did this bring pain to the family, it brought pain to the community. News of the young woman's death spread quickly through the neighborhood, leaving residents in shock. The community rallied around Renia's memory, with well-wishers dropping off flowers at a memorial site, transforming a place of tragedy into a testament of remembrance and love for a life stolen too soon. The same Tuesday that the body of Renia was found, police officers acted fast in order to arrest Douglas Irwin Shaw, a 41-year-old mechanic at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom in Vallejo, was arrested without incident at work. As reported by the police, Shaw is quoted saying that he killed Renia Lewis during interrogation. He was taken to Solano County Jail on suspicion of murder and was not given a bail.
Her mother last texted her on Friday and thought it was unusual not to get a response.
When they found her body behind the wall. They nailed her body behind the wall.
On Friday, the Solano County District Attorney had charged him with murder. Shaw had fathered 2 daughters, and this fact further makes the cruelty of his so-called crime even more unimaginable. How then can a man who has daughters of his own treat another man with violence to her daughter? Police and family of Renia disclosed that Shaw and the victim were not in relations and might have met recently. This disclosure poses perplexing inquiries into how fast this experience escalated to kill. But the things about the revelation of the past behavior of Shaw were probably the most chilling. One of his ex-girlfriends who had employed him in Six Flags testified with her own account. Relating to KTVU, she stated that she had sought a restraining order against Shaw in 2023, 2 years prior to the murder of Renia.
The person that they have in custody is being cooperative. Stated that he did indeed kill Renia. He threw her phone on top of the school. That's the most information that I have.
This former girlfriend and her father created a nightmare portrait of Shaw as a personality. They referred to him as a narcissist who held a view that all other people were wrong, a man who was not able to accept responsibility and be able to hear other opinions. Such a personality type indicates a threat to society who might have had the sense of right to control and dominate others. The fact that such a restraining order was in place begs some serious questions, such as the issue whether warning signs were overlooked. Did the death of Renia eliminate any chance of her death had more attention been given to the history of troublesome behavior by Shaw? It's a question that haunts many cases like this, where red flags existed but somehow failed to prevent tragedy. Terry Lewis spoke about what she believes Shaw deserves. He needs to get life so he can sit there and suffer. Her words reflect not just a mother's grief, but a demand for justice. He is now where he belongs, she added, finding some comfort in knowing that the man accused of killing her daughter was behind bars. The Renia Lewis case provides us with such deep questions regarding violence and the border between life and death that can be violated in a second. But what was Renia doing in that house? What were the conditions that resulted in her murders? And strangest of all, what had inspired Douglas Irwin Shaw to perpetrate so ghastly a deed against a person who was practically a stranger to him? Another aspect of the case that illustrates the vital role of family persistence in the investigation of missing persons is the fact that the latter is imperative in this kind of investigation.
Vallejo police announced late Tuesday that they had arrested Douglas Shaw. It's still unclear what his relationship is to Renia or to the home.
What might have happened to the body of Renia if her family were not so persistent? Had they not conducted their own footwork to trace her cell phone and compel the police to continue their quest? How long would her dead body have been hidden in that hidden attic? This is where the Ebony Alert system came in handy and made the whole state take note of what happened to Renia and held investigators accountable to uncover the truth. It is a reminder that the difference between a resolution and an unsolved mystery can be made through systemic tools of locating missing persons, especially on a community that has historically not received attention in cases of missing persons. To the Vallejo community, the death of Renia Lewis reminds them strongly of the fact that evil may be hiding right behind the most commonplace of disguises. The flowers at the memorial will eventually fade. The news cameras will move on to other stories. But for Terry Lewis and Renia's family, there is no moving on. There is only the daily reality of grief, the permanent absence of someone who should still be here.
Renia was the best loving person. The girl loved to cook. She loved her family.
Since they began sharing flyers with her mother's number, the family has received numerous prank calls, people pretending to be Renia, luring her mother to false addresses and demanding money.
Renia Lewis. Ending. The case of the murder of Renia Lewis makes us remember that there is always the real person behind a true crime story, who has lived a life worth living, whose absence leaves a vacuum that can never be filled. Renia was the daughter of someone, the friend of someone, the loved and the missed one on a daily basis. In case you or somebody you know is in a dangerous relationship or you are no longer safe, then contact them in order to get assistance. Call the National Domestic Violence Hotline or call your local police. You can also subscribe to our channel so that you can get a deeper coverage on cases that require justice and remembrance. Tap that notification button to make sure you do not miss an update. And please take a moment to leave your thoughts and prayers for Renia's family in the comments below. Justice for Renia Lewis.